meeting for Monday, June the 26th. Is there any declarations or conflicts of interest? Seeing none,
No.
we'll move to approve the agenda. Bobby, can I have a
Sure.
approval of the agenda?
Yeah, no
Move
problem.
it. Your worship? Okay. Approve the minutes for May 17th, 2023.
Sure.
Moved by Councillor Duran, second by the mayor.
Good for me, sir.
Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none,
No.
we'll move into reports and discussions. Before we do that, I think we have a presentation through the SWITCH program. You want to take the floor?
Hello,
Yeah.
can everyone?
Well, I'll just kind of
Yep.
mention what the report or what the presentation's on here. Back in the fall of 2022, there was a Dunsky report done, an economic analysis done for the SWITCH program. So because of that, the numbers in that report are about a year old. But there's going to be a presentation on just to explain that report. And so Jordan Carrier from Pace Atlantic is going to present. Just a few key findings right off the bat is that residents average about 6,000 to 8,000 in net lifetime earnings per project done. Also about 22 local and 24 non-local job years have been supported by the program up to that point. And
You mean when we're using job years? Can you explain that?
I think Jordan's going to touch on it a little bit more, but it's the amount of work that is supported through the program. So a job year, I think the definition would be that's how much work we've put out to the local contractors out there. So it supports somebody.
Okay, it would equal that many, okay,
A full year's worth amount of work for
Okay.
for a contractor to
Okay.
do.
perfect.
Then every additional $1 million financed supports another 22 job years. And then just another interesting fact is that the average value of the homes in the program range from $90,000 to $450,000. So that suggests a broad spectrum of participation for everyone. So I'll pass it over to Jordan, and she'll present on the report.
And just before you do that, Nick, I think some of the numbers you were showing, this is as of 2022?
My last the report was as of 2022. My last paragraph in the report here, I just mentioned the kind of more recent numbers, and I think Jordan will kind
Because I think
of confirm those numbers.
we had spent upwards of 3.5 million of the 5.5, but I think we're further beyond that now, are we not?
I think at the point that I wrote this report, we were about 5.5 given out for financing of the total of like about 9 million or so.
Oh, that's, yeah, sorry, 5.5 of the 9. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is that up to date? There's still $4 million left?
So maybe I'll pass it off to Jordan and she can kind of clarify the numbers here.
Mr. Chair, just before we do that, Julian Boyle is here, and he does have a presentation.
I know, we're getting to that.
Okay, and if I just could say that he has another meeting to go to, but sooner than
Okay.
at 1 o'clock, I believe.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, we just let her answer that, and then we'll go to the presentation.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, perfect. Should I share my screen as well? Or are the slides up somewhere?
Yeah, if you can you share your presentation, Jordan?
Definitely. To answer the question about the capital budget remaining, we are currently at around 7.5 million committed out of a total capital operating budget of 9 million.
So I might just interrupt just for a minute before Jordan starts with some details on the economic impact study that was done. I'm Julian Boyle. I'm the president of Pace Atlantic. We're the program administrators for the Switch program here in Charlottetown as well as Stratford. And I'm just here to do a bit of a victory lap. So a very quick victory lap to really recognize, I think, the achievements of not only Charlottetown but Stratford and Wolfville. It was a very unique collaboration on a kind of multi-province, multi-municipality energy efficiency financing program. So FCM recognized you folks in February with the 2020 Climate Mitigation Sustainability Award. So I'm here to give you your award since only staff was available at the time, I think, in Ottawa. So with that, I think I just want to basically congratulate the committee here and council as a whole, really, for your leadership. I mean, today Jordan's going to be talking a lot about the economic impact of this programming. There's obviously, lots of things that revolve around the programming on a financial sense. But I can't really understate really the environmental impact and what this means from reducing carbon emissions and empowering residents to reduce carbon emissions, which we all know is kind of one of the existential threats to us all. And, the leadership that has been demonstrated here on the island has been noticed across Canada and is being replicated across Canada. So we run programs in a few provinces and have lots of experiences with lots of municipalities, but you guys are the best. So just with that kind of preamble, I would like to present you with the award, and maybe we just take some photos for a few minutes and then maybe turn it back over to Jordan if you don't mind.
Sure thing, yeah. So, thank you very much, we really appreciate that.
Do you want to come up? Can you come up front?
I do want to just say, though, I want to recognize Jessica and our staff people and Nick, obviously the drivers behind this. So I just want to recognize them for the work they put into it. And I think, Sue, you've been working on this file also. Okay, we won't give her any credit. We'll just
Give Sydney.
and Sydney, yeah. So, again, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get Jess.
So I won't bother with the white gloves.
Do we have someone with the camera? The mayor said he did. Oh, okay.
Congratulations. Well, and I think it really reflects on a lot of the environmental projects and initiatives that you and your staff do, and we're really glad to help support the Switch program, but so many amazing things are happening here on the island from a green sustainability front, and so congratulations.
Yeah, no, we're really pleased how well it's been taken off, and like I said, the staff is doing a lot of credit.
Fine.
Thank you, they don't have to should get in the carbon footprint reduced as best we can. So. Nick, you want to come in? Jessica?
Yes. Sydney, come on.
Yeah, that light behind you is not the greatest, might be better if you're hiding your faces. That's better, now I can see your face.
Talk in. Still home and smile. Check.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations and thank you. You can keep the gloves.
So that certainly was good news. Good news. Again, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. So Nick, did you want to continue on, or do you want to go to Jordan?
I'll pass it over to Jordan.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Can everyone hear me? Am I all good and you're seeing the slides?
It sounds not great.
It's not,
I'm not hearing you that well.
I got the volume turned up here as low as I can.
I can hear you great.
Just 1
So
second.
some people can.
Just not real loud yet, Jordan. We're just gonna get our tech person to look at it here.
Okay.
You want to say a few things, Jordan, so we can get the volume here?
For sure. So my name is Jordan Carrier. I can just do an introduction while we work these details out. So my name is Jordan Carrier, and I am the Energy Concierge Manager with Pace Atlantic CIC. So what that means, the Energy Concierge role is really designed to help homeowners through the Switch program.
There we go. Got
Are
you
we all
now.
good?
Got you now, Jordan.
What?
Okay.
What'd
Did
you say?
anyone hear a little bit of my introduction?
Yeah, I heard it, Jordan. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I'll continue on from here. Again, Jordan Carrier, the Energy Concierge Manager. So my role is really to help support a homeowner throughout their energy retrofit journey with the Switch program. And today I'm going to recap the economic impact of the Switch Charlottetown program through an analysis provided by Dunsky. I really appreciate Nick's introduction there earlier. He did a great job recapping the key findings. One point to note is that my presentation today, I designed the slides to focus on the Switch Charlottetown program. The other report has both Charlottetown and Stratford combined, and I will touch on that a little bit too. But some of the discrepancies between what I'm presenting and what Nick said is just to account for Charlottetown versus Stratford. And with that, I will begin. So the agenda for this presentation is I'm going to recap the Switch program, so we're all on the same page there. And then I will dive into the Dunsky introduction, some results, and the conclusion. I do recognize that we are on a tight time limit here, so I am going to go through this pretty quickly, but please feel free to stop me if anything comes up. I am planning to spend time on some key definitions so everyone does know the exact terms that we're using throughout this report as well. So to start, just introducing the Switch Charlottetown program. So in summer of 2021, the Switch programs launched in the Maritimes. These municipalities consisted of Charlottetown, Stratford, and Wolfville, Nova Scotia. So the Switch programs were supported by funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, otherwise known as FCM. And as discussed earlier, Charlottetown's total program capital is $9 million. The purpose of the Switch program is to support homeowners through energy upgrades at their home. And to do so, we provide low interest energy retrofit financing as well as energy coaching. So the whole point of this is to help homeowners reduce their electricity and heating costs. But at the same time, we're also reducing Charlottetown's greenhouse gas emissions at a municipal level. This last bullet point here, Julian definitely just touched on it. So the Switch programs as a whole were the winner of the 2022 Sustainable Communities Climate Mitigation Award. That's a mouthful, but it is recognized at a federal level. So we did have the opportunity to go to Ottawa and accept this award on behalf of all the Switch programs. And it's really good to know that not only are there extreme and economic benefits, but there's also a lot of environmental benefits that are being recognized at the federal level. So huge congratulations to everybody who helped implement and support this program.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, this slide was just a duplicate, so I'm going through that. But an update for Switch Charlottetown by the numbers as of this week. We are at $7.5 million in total committed projects, and that is from the 590 projects with signed agreements. In addition to that, we have just under 1,000 participants that have called in and received our energy coaching. And they have the potential of signing agreements as well. So we have 968 onboarded, 590 of which would have signed agreements, and 7.5 million in total committed financing.
So Jordan, I assume those numbers do not include whatever's in the hopper now?
No, so this total committed financing is all based on signed participation agreements. So there are still room for people who have been onboarded to sign agreements in the near future.
Okay, this is all the signed agreements up to date?
Correct.
Okay. And the 1.5 million, I think, Jessica, you mentioned before, are we looking to that last approximately another 6 months? 4 months, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Perfect. So I did want to provide some two key figures as well before I jump into the Dunsky study. So on the left, the pie chart, you can see a breakdown of projects that are being completed through the program based on popularity. So the navy blue bar is heat pumps. That's the most projects being financed through the program are heat pumps, followed by insulation and solar. And windows and doors are also playing a key role. The other bar, the red bar, that would be any other efficiency upgrade. Some examples of that would be hot water heating and high efficiency propane boilers, things of those nature. The Dunsky study really studied heat pumps, insulation, and solar. So most of their analysis was on the top 3 projects. On the right-hand side here, you can see a map of Charlottetown, and the dots are people participating in the program. So I think this is a really great visual to see the participating members in Charlottetown. It does seem like we're reaching almost every corner of the city. The blue dots is participation, and the green dots are those with signed agreements. Awesome. So I will introduce the Dunsky study, although Nick did do a great job at that. So June of 2022, we asked Dunsky to provide an economic study, and we really want to focus on 3 key players. So we wanted to know the projected bill savings for homeowners, as well as the employment impact through the program. So how we're developing local economies, especially green jobs in the local economy. And in addition to that, we did evaluate program uptake distributions based on property assessed taxable values. And Nick did touch on that too, but you will see the results show that we are reaching a wide range of assessed values. The last thing to touch on here before we really dive into it is that all of these figures that I'm presenting to you are based on projects completed before June 2022. So the sample size was 63 completed projects at that time. This slide, I trust that everybody does have their own slides, but this is just key definitions to remember moving forward. And I will touch on each of them, but I do suggest that you refer back to this in the future. So one point of note is that most of these bill savings have not occurred yet. Dunsky did use the whole lifetime value of the installed equipment. So a lot of the bill savings are going to be taking place over a 30-year period for insulation and solar projects. The heat pump bill savings really occur within a 15-year value, and these is based on the lifetime of the installed equipment. Dunsky also refers to savings as net bill savings. In order to calculate this, what Dunsky did is they came up with the bill savings over the lifetime, and they subtracted it from the initial cost of project installation to determine whether there is a net positive bill saving or not. It should be noted that some of these projects are quite expensive. We can go up to $40,000 in financing, which is typical for a solar project. The last point of note is all dollar values I will be presenting is converted into net present value of 2022. The definition on how they did that is outlined there, but for the purposes of time, just noting that highlighted blue part. This slide dives into an analysis of how they determine the net bill savings. So in order to know how a project can impact a property, it's really important to know what the property has in terms of heating to begin with. For example, if you install solar panels, the outcome's going to be different if you're on oil or if you're on electric before installation. So based on the 63 completed projects, Dunsky determined that 3/5 of the properties were entirely heated by oil, 1/5 was oil and electric hot water, and then the other 5th was completely electric. So they used these archetypes. They then added on the measures, which is another word for projects. Again, we're focusing on solar panels, heat pumps, and insulation. And then that determined the net bill savings. This slide here is the results based on that methodology. So the estimate is that for every $1 million financed through the switch programs, it generates roughly $400,000 to $500,000 in net lifetime bill savings for the community. On the right, you can see a graph of which projects are generating the most savings based on the archetypes that we just discussed before. So solar has an extremely high net lifetime and year one bill savings. Heat pumps, if it's an oil home, is generating more savings than an electric heated home. And insulation falls in between the middle there. Another way to recap these findings is that for every dollar a installed equipment costs, you can receive 40 to 50 cents in profit per dollar invested. And we're really proud of these numbers. Based on June 2022, again, the 63 projects completed in year one will generate $450,000 in savings over the lifetime of the installed equipment. Are there any questions here before I move on to some of the employment impacts?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Jordan,
Yes.
can you go back to your pie graph with the other?
Yep.
So I asked Julian this morning about windows. Are windows part of other?
No, so windows and doors are grouped as that purple bar
Okay.
right
So,
here.
which is, okay, I just saw that now. So I have a couple of homeowners that have heritage homes, and they are required to go with wooden frame windows,
Okay.
but I don't think it has the energy savings stamp. So if you, like in Charlottetown, the 500 lots, that's their historical part of the city. It prohibits, or it prevents homeowners trying to get that funding or support from switch program, or is it possible to, provide some accommodation for anyone that's looking at putting in new
Yeah.
windows for a heritage home?
Ultimately, that's a decision based on Charlottetown and ourselves. I don't see a reason why we couldn't finance it for the Charlottetown program, but there will be some rebate issues, because I do believe in order to receive a lot of incentives through provincial and federal governments, it does need to have that stamp.
Okay. And the other question, Mr. Chair, is Dunsky. Is it Dunsky or Dunsky?
Yeah, so it's called, okay, so it's Dunsky Energy and Climate.
Yeah, they're out of Montreal, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
but they operate throughout Canada and they do have a extensive background in providing economic analysis for many environmental programs administered at all sorts of government levels across Canada.
So would the Clean Foundation out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia also provide that expertise?
I'm not entirely sure. Julian might have more information about the Clean Foundation.
Thank you.
So program evaluation and measurement and verification is kind of a unique specialty for most organizations. So we do some of that internally, but we thought it would be better to get a third party. And Dunsky operates in a lot of regulatory environments where energy efficiency funding is reviewed and on the performance. So a lot of confidence in that. Not saying Clean Foundation couldn't do some of these kind of analysis, but it's typically not their area of specialty as far as I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to jump into some of the employment impacts that Nick did touch on. This slide is for us to understand the definitions of the terms being used. So one job year is 40 hours of week, or 40 hours of work a week for 1 year. So when we are talking about job years, we really have to think about the time spent in 1 year of employment. So support for 10 job years is one job supported over 10 years. And again, you can say that again. So support for 45 job years is one job supported for life. I'll let that sink in for a bit, but the key bolded point is supporting one job year is not the same as creating one new job. It would be supporting one job for a full year.
Thanks for clarifying that, because I had a struggle when I was reading that, trying to understand that.
Okay, perfect. So for direct jobs and indirect jobs, this is how Dunsky broke it down for the later slides. So direct jobs are the jobs associated with installing the equipment. Indirect jobs are jobs that can come up as a result for the savings. For example, if a homeowner is saving quite a bit of money over the lifetime of the equipment, we can expect that they're going to reinvest that into the local economy or other economies in general. Maybe they'll go on a trip, maybe they'll go on more date nights in the city. There's a lot of options on how these savings will be spent, but we can categorize that as indirect jobs. So this graph here is breaking down the direct versus indirect jobs. For every $1 million invested, we can assume that 25% of jobs created are directly for the installation of the equipment, and 75% is indirect jobs from the reinvestment of savings into the community. For the direct jobs, 70% of them are done by local contractors. There are some contractors who are based further outside of the Charlottetown area and some from New Brunswick as well, which is that 30%. And for the indirect jobs, we can assume that 50% are local. This slide just takes it one more step further, and it's actually giving that number of local job years. So Nick did recap it earlier. His numbers were including Stratford as well. These ones are strictly Charlottetown. So for the direct jobs, 3.5 job years are supported through the program, with $1 million being invested. And that's on the local side, and 1.5 job years for non-local. So in total, that's 5 job years being supported through the direct installation of equipment.
So your 5 job years, Jordan, would equivalent to 5 full-time jobs for 1 year.
Yes, that's one way you can look at it, or you can look at it as one job for 5 years.
Yeah, yeah, okay, I see, yeah.
Okay, so based on the revenue of $400,000 to $500,000, we can assume that 4 local jobs are going to be generated or job years, and 4 non-local job years will be generated through that reinvestment of savings into the community. In total, that's 13 job years, both local and non-local. Okay. The last point that we wanted Dunsky to touch on was the distribution of program uptake. We, at the time, did not have data on homeowners' income levels. So what we did is we mapped out the taxable assessed property value across the program, and we compared that to Charlottetown's average. Charlottetown's average is represented in this orange bar of $238,000. You can see that we are reaching homeowners on both sides of the average, but our bell curve is really curving to the left of that average, and that just represents that the majority of homeowners participating in the switch program in Charlottetown are below the median taxable assessed property value. Again, this is not income, but there is an association between income and taxable assessed property values. Okay, so I'm going to move into the conclusion now that recaps these findings. Again, I'm really trying to present the key results. There is an in-depth report that I encourage everyone to look through, and if there's any questions, bring them my way. So to recap the findings that I presented, for every $1 million invested in the switch program, we can see $400,000 to $500,000 in net lifetime bill savings for homeowners in Charlottetown. Every $1 million invested in programming in Charlottetown also results in 13 full-time local job years, around 50% of those being local. And retrofitted homes range in a value of $90,000 to $470,000, which is an extremely wide range. And again, we are seeing evidence that most of the homeowners participating do have assessed values of lower than the median assessed value in Charlottetown. This slide here is more recent numbers based on that 7.5 million in committed financing. So just using a simple multiplier, we're able to stay with confidence that 165 jobs are going to be created within the lifetime of the equipment, again, up to 30 years, and 90 of those will be on PEI. 590 homes will achieve a lifetime energy savings of over $10.8 million. And if we look at Switch as a whole with Stratford, we can multiply these numbers by 1.5. This was the key takeaways from Dunsky. They indicated that energy efficiency is having a positive impact on PEI. Again, this is within the 2 branches of employment and net lifetime bill savings. In addition to that, the Switch program is making it easier for homeowners to undertake energy efficiency projects. We have seen a spike in retrofits occurring since the Switch programs have launched. Dunsky indicated that removing the barrier of upfront costs, as well as providing energy coaching, is a key success to the results of this program. And the program has reached a high variety of homes, which we've discussed in detail before. This concludes the slides. Again, I'm taking a really complex report and I'm presenting the key results of that. And I do hope they are coming across well, but I am open to any questions.
Any questions?
Always do, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So Lori and I are benefactors of the switch program. We did the insulation,
Okay.
and we're doing the heat pump, which we already installed. And working with the switch program, it's been very easy to navigate how to sign up to the follow-up. And so I think it's a big, big plus for homeowners and reducing our carbon footprint, which is all, I think, the greatest objective here. And Mr. Chair, I would just like to find out, I think we're nearing I can ask, maybe if I can ask through the chair, Jessica or Julian, I think we're we're coming to the end of the funding. So looking at the successes that Jordan outlined in her report, is there a possibility for us to ask FCM if there's more funding available to continue this program and spread it further into the community?
I think we asked that before, because we knew the money was getting spent. And the answer at that time, because we had some representatives here, and the answer at that time was they were trying to spread it out throughout the country evenly. But you could always ask. So I think that's probably a question to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the PEI Federation. Your Worship, I think that's probably a question to ask the PEI Federation.
Mr. Chair, I think this program is for 3 communities, Stratford, Charlottetown, and Wolfville. So we're part of this group of 3, and I'm asking if we can apply through FCM for more money for Charlottetown. I'm not talking about Stratford or Wolfville or any other. Can I just, is that possible? Could I just ask, Mr. Chair, through you, Jessica or Julian?
Okay.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So we all have been involved in meetings with FCM and Stratford about this, and as an example, Stratford did receive additional funds because they had already gone through the bulk of their funding, and when at that time we had not. So they said that we could ask again, but it would be conditional on us having a plan for how the program continues. So they won't just keep giving us funding. There is a chance we could apply, and there's a chance we could get funding, but my understanding is it would have to be kind of conditional on us having a plan for what we're doing next. It would just be a little bit of extra money to get us to that point, and that's to be determined. It wouldn't be a guarantee. Julian, you can jump in if that's not accurate.
Through you, the chair, to the mayor, yes, that's my understanding as well. I mean, from my perspective, there's no harm in asking. If you don't ask, you don't get. So, I mean, FCM, as you probably know, can take a while to churn through our requests, and so with the program window right now being about 3 or 4 months left in it, I would certainly encourage you to think about asking sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and we have asked before. We had a presentation here probably 3 or 4 months ago. We had asked at that point. It never hurts to ask again, but I'm kind of wondering, when you say that when they put the request in, as long as we had a plan in place, I take it we have a plan in place now. We just want to continue the plan that we have. Or are they suggesting new opportunities through energy recovery?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we don't have a solid what to do next. It's not easy to get 0% interest loans. So we've been waiving a lot of different options, and one of those options is the city bringing in capital funding that would provide low interest rate funds to homeowners. But we haven't come to like a solid decision on kind of what to do next. We have a meeting, actually, Julian is spearheading a meeting with the province in 20 minutes. We've met with them numerous times. We meet with Stratford, and there's a lot of different ways we could do next steps, but there's not one clear, easy way, I would say, to go forward. The feds and the province all have energy, reduction programs. And we ideally would like to collaborate and not cause confusion with lots of different programs. So we've been trying to speak with different partners to try and collaborate maybe on the next iteration of the Switch program. But yeah, short answer is we don't have a good plan for what we're going to do next.
And I just wonder though, Jessica, and I think the same question the mayor's asking, to continue with the same program we have. I think that's what we're wondering is, can we get more funding, but the plan stays the same? It's for the same criteria.
For a very short time, we could apply to get a little bit more 0% interest capital, but that pot will go dry and we have to have a plan for what doing next. So we've been meeting, Nick and I have met with finance about this because we're not really the finance experts. So is the city comfortable in providing loans to homeowners in Charlottetown with an interest rate attached to that and bringing in that money and then being the channel for that? So the city will have to decide if they're comfortable with that. But the 0% interest program that we have now, it would only be possible for another short little bit of time.
So the province has a 0% interest program now.
Exactly.
So can city residents not apply for that? And still, like for their heat pumps and their upgrades, they look the same to me. Could they still not get the 0% financing through that program?
They have a 0% interest. Nick, you can correct me because he's more, but I believe the 0% interest is for heat pumps specifically. And our program's a little bit different because it's a bit more all-encompassing. You can do tons of different types of upgrades, and you have energy concierge people that help you hold your hand through that process. So the programs are all a little bit different, but yeah, they do have energy programs similar.
So Nick, do you want to elaborate now? Because I thought theirs was more than heat pumps.
It's like heating appliances, so that includes heat pumps, wood stoves, pellet stoves, I don't think it includes oil boilers or anything like that, but it's just sort of the sustainable heating sources.
And does it include windows and doors too?
No, they do have their own loan, but it's like a 5% interest loan that they've had for a number of years now.
So the 0% up to $10,000, that's for heat pumps and other energy efficiency upgrades.
I think you can get up to $30,000, 0% for the heating upgrades.
The application I have says 10,000.
Okay, they might have.
I think there's another program for, anyway, we'll get into that later. That's the provincial program, but it sounds like there may be opportunities there also for people to apply for 0% financing on some of the upgrades anyway. So maybe it's a conversation we have with the province and just see where they are and where we can go and see if we can't get it under the 0% to continue with the switch program the way we have it.
Yeah. So Mr. Chair, could we look, does it require a resolution to go and ask FCM to ask a request for more funding? Or is that just a bureaucratic or administrative issue?
I don't think you need a resolution, no. It's
So-
work we're doing already.
Yeah.
But like I said, we have to come up with our plan, what we're going to do next first. And
Yeah.
that's been the difficult part because we're trying to solve the problem of what are we doing next? And so we have to tell FCM, I think, what we're planning to do. So that's what we're working on currently and
Okay.
have been for a while.
Okay. Anybody have any more questions for Jordan?
The only thing
No,
I
I'm
can
good,
say,
Jerry,
Mr.
thank you.
Chair, is that it's a good program. Jordan showed us all the pluses. I didn't see too many minuses or negatives to it. So I think let's just continue on what we're doing. I think FCM would look at what we're doing or what we've done and going forward, say, yeah, let's keep it going. If we can get another $1 million from them, get another $1 million. But I don't want to get into capital funding as a city right now. As the chair said, the province has something in place. Let the province expand their program, and we'll just finish off ours with additional funding from FCM.
Just as long as it's available. I think, Jill, you probably had something.
Really, actually, another topic here. I just wanted to say thank you to Jordan and her team. Jordan's really done an exceptional job with our team of energy concierges. Unfortunately, this is her swan song. She's leaving us this week to go to the energy department with the city of Calgary. So we're going to miss her and want to wish her the best of luck and thank you for her contribution. So thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank
They
you.
probably shouldn't let you go. Anyway, thank you very much for the presentation. It was great. So, anyway, anybody else have anything for Jordan? That's it? Okay. Thank you, Jordan.
Okay, thank you. I'll sign off now. Thank you for listening.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, man.
All right, time's getting on. I wouldn't mind if we could, because the other ones are information. If we have time, we'll get to them. I want to go to, see you, Julian. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the award. All right. If we can move to D, the private stump rebate program, just get some comment on that. If we have time, we can move back to Better Homes. So Jessica, I think that's yours. And what I read, it's a great start. That may end up being the whole program, but I do like what you put together there. So do you want to run that? Explain that
Thank you,
to
Mr.
everybody?
Chair. So just as some background to refresh everyone's memory, so the city put $250,000 in its budget for private land support of stump removals, and that was conditional on a match from the province for a total of a $500,000 program. And Mr. Chair had asked for staff to put some thought into what that might look like. So what's presented is our recommendation on what a rebate program could look like. So basically, the homeowner would coordinate the stump removal themselves, and they would submit an online form that would be filled out with them and their contractor to say that it matches with our criteria. So what we're suggesting is that for stump removal work less $999 and less, they would get a $200 rebate back. And for stump removal work $1,000 and over, they would get a $500 rebate back. This is similar to a few other projects we've done, like the flood rebate program, which Alistair will hopefully talk about. But we've worked with finance in a similar fashion, and finance supports us doing a similar process for this again. And we kind of have the kinks worked out in that type of rebate. So we can put the form online, get this contractor to sign off on the work, and then issue a rebate to them.
Thank you, Jessica. And I can't see it right now. I know I read somewhere about it had to be at least 30 centimeters in diameter to be eligible.
Yeah,
No,
that's our
that's here
recommendation.
somewhere, wasn't it?
That's our recommendation. So you're dealing with larger stumps and
Oh,
not.
there it is there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. On private residential land in Charlottetown, not business institutions or rental property over 30 centimeters in diameter. So that's less than that. It wouldn't meet the criteria, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the other numbers that we see here for 999 under and 1,000 and over, that criteria would stay the same if the province did commit to the other to match the 250, correct? Or would that change?
So my understanding is the program would only roll out with provincial funding at this time.
Yeah, I think that was talked about at budget time. But if the province doesn't, then council can make a decision if they want to use the 250 that they approve for. So that would go to council. So the feedback that I was getting from the province is that they were interested in it. They thought they would match it, but they haven't confirmed that yet. So hopefully we get an answer this week. I'm trying to get an answer with David in the legislature. So now that the legislature's closed, hopefully we'll get an answer, yes or no. Then we could take this, the council can decide what they want, but at least we have an idea of how the program could work. So appreciate that. Your Worship, or Bob, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think that we have the money there, the funding there, so we can be discussing, this discussion can go on for another few months. The house is closed, so it's going to have to be an executive an order in council from from cabinet, and I think the chair has recognized or did suggest some possibilities of providing funding where we wouldn't pay the whole cost. We would give a certain amount out to anyone that made application. And I think when it goes back to finance, finance should just make the decision. Let's do it, and hopefully we'll get the bridge funding from the province.
I think at the end of the day, we were just looking to help constituents in some way, if some of the costs to move some of these larger stumps, get them out of the way. I still see a lot of them in people's front yards, which I don't think the city wants to move on in the future, leaving a whole bunch of stumps sticking out of the ground. So it was just some way of a little bit of initiative to help people with the cost to get them removed. So, well, you know, at the end of the day, council will make that decision, and if we can't get an answer from the province by the end of this week, then, you know, we can decide to move forward and ask council what they want to do. Make sense? Okay. Anybody got any other questions on that?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay, thank you. So Nick, if we can move to the Better Homes Neighborhood Program for the information? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to provide an update on the latest Better Homes Neighborhood Energy Project. This will be the third year we're running the program, and it's a collaboration between Efficiency PEI and the city. It chooses a neighborhood and focuses on that, provides free energy audits, a few quick and easy upgrades, and just sort of helps the residents through that whole process of getting the rebates and just helping them out with any questions they have. So to choose the neighborhood this year, we are doing a neighborhood nomination survey. So it's online right now, and it was open on June 9th, and the deadline for the survey is June 30th, so the end of the week. And so what we're going to achieve from that is to find the community interest, like who in the city is interested in having their neighborhood the next one to go through this program. Then after that, we will open it up for those residents in that neighborhood to apply for the program. This is only just to pick the neighborhood. So I just wanted to kind of inform that the deadline is this Friday. We'll also use census information, compare the results of this survey with census information showing income levels. That will also help guide our decision on which neighborhood to go with. We're gonna have a few people on our panel to prioritize which neighborhoods, including Efficiency PEI and a few of our environment and sustainability staff. And it'll also help inform the next years of this program, which ones we want to prioritize. This will be the next year, and then that year follows, and so on.
So just on that, Nick, I'm assuming a part of the criteria too will be, and I think we looked at this and we did it before, was the age of homes in certain subdivisions, certain neighborhoods. So that will come into play too. Whether the home, the neighborhood is 50 years old, it might be a good idea to look at some energy efficiency opportunities there. That would be part of the criteria, I would assume?
It could be, yeah. It could be if we have data, if Efficiency PEI might be able to supply data on the energy audits that have been done in the past. That could also inform which neighborhoods need it the most. So we could use a few different data sets to do the evaluation. Yes, thank you.
Yep, so I just, yep, so,
Before you get started, I do want to say, as an elected official, it's always nice when you have constituents letting us know that the staff are doing a good job. And I see you were quoted there, quite a few of the comments come back that you did a great job. You were very helpful to a lot of the constituents, so great to hear.
yep, so the feedback for the program was mostly positive. For a little bit of background, we received a donation from Intact, the insurance company, of $80,000 to help run this program, which launched back in November 2022. So the rebate program offered a 75% rebate for sump pumps, backwater valves, backup battery systems for sump pumps, and water alarms or monitors. To date, oh yes, up to $1,000 was the maximum. And we had a total of 88 residents apply and receive rebates, or some are still waiting there's some wait lists and other circumstances, but that also covered 91 properties, as we did allow for multiple properties per resident, as long as they were within Charlottetown. The average project cost was almost $1,500, and the rebate came out to, on average, around $791. And the most popular projects were mainly sump pumps or backup battery systems, or a combination of both. And we do have still quite a few people, I think it's up to 60 now, that are on a wait list. Should we receive more funding this year or next year, we'll keep them in mind and reach out directly if anything does change. We also heard from a lot of residents that Hurricane Fiona caused a lot of concerns, especially with the following power outages. We had a lot of people having to, especially senior citizens, having to bail out their sump pump consistently. So having these backup battery systems would be good, especially in those situations, should we find ourselves in that state again. We also did a short follow-up survey, which 47 residents have completed to date. And about 35% stated that they had experienced a flooding event within the past year. And of those 35%, around 70 said they experienced significant financial and or mental health impacts from that flooding event. So these events are having quite an impact on residents here. There was, for taking action when it comes to flooding, the biggest barriers people quoted were uncertainty of what to do and the associated cost. And about 30% of residents would not have completed the work done if the rebate wasn't available. Around 22% said they would have had to wait till a later date, and another 25% were uncertain. So it did lead to a lot of people taking action where they may not have otherwise.
So Alistair, obviously turned out to be a good program. Is there many people on a waiting list?
Yeah, there's around 60 residents currently on the waiting list.
Okay, and it's intact. Have they suggested that they'll refill this program again?
So I recently had to do a final report for the funding, and we had a conversation with the contact there. And right now, they're still uncertain of the future of the grant program that we receive funding through. There is some interest of potentially working with the communities they partnered with in the future, but right now we can't really. Nothing was confirmed by Intact.
There was interest in what, Alistair?
Continuing to work again with the partners they provided funding for. So there is the potential we could receive more funding through Intact, but we'll also keep looking out for other opportunities to potentially continue it, just in case something comes up.
Perfect. Any questions?
Chair, just looking at the background, and Alistair, great job on the backgrounder. I know when I was at the FCM in Toronto, Don Iveson, former mayor of Edmonton, is now with the Cooperative Insurance, and he gave a presentation on catastrophic climatic events, hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, and the insurance industry is just trying to get the first shot across the bow to say, we are going to be, they're looking at how homeowners, communities are putting in place mitigation mitigation initiatives or actions to lessen the impact of these catastrophic climatic events, and to see that Intact Financial Corporation, which is a multinational insurance company, especially home insurance, it's in their best interest. So this is, Mr. Chair, a good move forward for the city, and that was Don Iverson's message that communities all across this country have to get on board to prepare for future catastrophic climatic events, and this is going on the right direction. And when you get a buy-in from an insurance company like Intact Financial, that's a pretty good sign. So good on, as you said earlier, good on Alistair and the team and Jessica for moving this forward, and hopefully we can use it as an example for other communities to say, this is what you do to get prepared. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I think reading up in Intact and the reason why they did it, I mean, it's a good program. It also helps them too in trying to reduce some of the damage to properties that they are insured. And that's why I wonder if this will continue and catch on. Just one question before we leave. I wouldn't mind, the Dunsky report, or whatever they call it, the Dunsky report. Can we get information, or some information out there on the impact that the energy efficiencies have made in terms of carbon reduction or greenhouse gas emission reduction from where we were? Here's the projects that are completed, and now here's the carbon reduction or the greenhouse gas reductions that we now see. And for me, anyway, I can relate a lot more to that than 165 jobs for one job a year, 165 jobs for.
It's the saving.
To me, I think that's a lot more important to see what the carbon emission reduction has been.
Yeah.
And where we're going, and kind of, like, I mean, even looking at our vehicles, I don't know yet. I know we passed the, can't remember what it's called now, but it had to do with when we go to tender and we look at sustainability. So, you know, even if we knew that, you know, when you get a fleet of 10 electric trucks versus 10 gas four-door extended cab trucks, what's the benefit going to be to the city of Charlottetown? Or to the environment, I should be saying. But it'd be nice to, at least for me anyway, it'd be nice to have that spreadsheet. I think council would appreciate that, seeing where we are, seeing the impact that it's made. And I mean, I'm still blown away by the amount of water that we save. When we think back in 1995, we're still using less water today since we brought in the water measures than we were in 1995. So it can accumulate quite quickly.
Yeah.
But for me, if we have that data, or if it's fairly easy
Good
to
idea.
pick up, it'd be nice to, it'd
Yeah.
be really nice to have.
Yeah, so you're talking about environment, social governance, which is corporations are incorporating, government is incorporating. I fully agree with that. I do. That's a great idea to get the numbers. And, you know, come July 1st, the Clean Energy Act will be adding another 14 cents on home heating oil per liter. So people are going to feel that hit, and heat pumps and all other types of alternate sources of energy is where we have to go.
All right, anybody have anything else?
Just under new business, can I just give notification, not for tonight, for today? It's just if our manager can come back to the committee with this Capital Region Active Transportation Advisory Committee, the terms of references and how we're going to make it up, because Cornwall, I know Stratford is interested in joining with the city, and I think Cornwall will be also part of that, and I think we need to put some representation to it and get it going. And I think that will include the province too. So that's just notifications, are not to be discussed now.
Okay, thank you. So can I, Bobby, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good, Terry, thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn? Moved by the mayor,
Sure.
seconded by Councilor Duran?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you.